Welcome everyone to the Wednesday. Oops, sorry, I'm letting people in here. Welcome to the Wednesday SARA call. And today we're going to be talking about the tools that you have in your toolbox to maybe help with Reiki or help with animals, and kind of what the purpose of those tools are when we are working with animals. Because a lot of times we can use tools which are so helpful for us in a way that's not helpful for animals. So, hi, Trina. So glad you're on. So great to see you. So, I want to, and at the end, hi, Owen. Can I just get it together today? I'm sorry. I'm so off today. I want to remind everybody, please use the chat. Thank you, Sharon, for putting that message. And thank you to Ruth. Ruth put a message in about, so for those of you who just joined us, I will repost this from Ruth because you can't see the chats that were from before. And Ruth wanted to have a moment of silence for Jane Goodall since she passed away today at the age of 91. And I thought that was a really great idea. We're going to do that at the end of the call so that we're not interrupted during that time, because we do want to definitely give some respect to Jane for all the amazing work that she's done. And I'm just going to put this, and I'm going to say from Ruth right here. So welcome to everyone who just joined us. So we're going to be talking about the tools that we use, most especially in Reiki, but there are other tools that we use, let's say animal communication or flower essences, essential oils, animal massage, acupuncture. There's all kinds of tools that we might have, we might know that we use in order to help us with whatever trait it is. You know, if we're doing human Reiki, a lot of times, I don't know if some of you human Reiki practitioners and teachers, that maybe you use sound, like bowls or the singing bowls or like the glass bowls. Those are, and Kristen is nodding her head, so I'm assuming she does that. And it's a really great thing. Or you're using crystals, or there's other things. And for humans, that is so wonderful and important, because as humans, when we go in to get a Reiki session, we might want all of those added things because they make us feel more supported. We might want the singing bowls or the crystals, or to be told, oh, your chakras are blocked and this and that, right? Because we're very human. We're living a very human life, and we need that communication and that extra support, because everything goes back to our mindset. Our mind dictates how we're going to feel, what we're going to accept, and what we're not going to accept. When we're using tools with animals, though, it is a completely different story, because with animals, we need to be completely 100% present, and we can't be thinking about all the different tools that we need to use. And we want to have a more pure experience. So what I mean by that is, let's say I'll use animal communication because it's a very obvious situation when you're mixing two modalities. When you go in to do an animal Reiki session with an animal, so let's say, you know, you're going to sit, you're going to share space. Remember, we're not doing anything to them. We're just being, and we're sitting with them. But let's say halfway through your meditation, halfway through this beautiful, you know, connection with the animal, you get some messages. Like maybe you see pictures, maybe you hear words, and maybe the messages are just something about what the animal's feeling. Maybe it's something that the animal has experienced. And as an animal communicator, I'm not an animal communicator, but I've had students and they stop the session and start talking to the animal. That's where your tool can get in the way, because animal Reiki is passive. So you're there to hold space and just be with the animal. Now, at the end of that, and I highly recommend you do Reiki first, that you sit, meditate, share the space with the animal so the animal can learn to trust you in that space, right? You're not asking anything of them. You're not doing anything to them. You're just being with them. Now you can have a really powerful animal communication session because the animal trusts you. Now you can ask the animal what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they're sharing with you, because animal communication is active. You need to get validation. So if you stop in the middle of being, just being and being in the space with the animal and start talking to them, you're no longer doing animal Reiki, you're in an animal communication space. Same with if you are going to do, let's say, acupressure, acupuncture, or you're going to do flower essences. It's good for you to set yourself up, right? So maybe get in the meditative space before you go and do that modality with an animal. But you never want to be mixing the two, because in your mind now you have confusion, right? Oh, I'm doing animal Reiki, I'm doing flower essences. Oh, I need to add something. So now your mind is really active. You're no longer in a very passive space where you're just holding space, right? So with animal Reiki in the Let Animals Lead method, and I know not all of you may be trained in this method, but what our goal is to be completely free of all kind of distracting thoughts and just to sit with the animal in that energy of love, right? If we're sitting in that energy of love, that means there's no attachment, there's no expectation, there's no thought that I want the session to look like this, or I want this experience to look like this. The animal needs to look like this. The animal needs to act like this. There's none of that. You're just being with the animal. But in that space of being with the animal, if you're thinking, oh, I should be bringing in some flower essences, because maybe in your mind, the animal isn't acting the way you think it should be acting. So maybe you're not really feeling the energy. So you think, oh, maybe this would be more powerful if I brought in flower essences. So what you're doing there is you're taking yourself out of the space, and now you're becoming more analytical. And now you're no longer in that really beautiful just space of love. Now you're trying to fix something. Now you're into solving. Now you might be looking at this session, looking at this experience with this animal as, oh, it should be happening like this. It's not, so I need to bring something in. That goes back to our own insecurities, right? The animals are like, what? Wait a minute. We were just sitting here in this beautiful space, and now your mind is going like this. You're no longer calm. Now you're thinking about what you should be bringing in. So you're taking yourself out of that space. But there's no harm in what I was trying to say before that I interrupted myself, is that there's no harm in you setting yourself up with Reiki for yourself beforehand, right? Doing some deep breathing and saying, okay, I'm going to do a flower essence session with the animal. What should I, choose? Or maybe what does the animal choose? You can bring that Reiki space into your body and help ground yourself and help give yourself confidence. So now when you go do flower essences, or you do sound therapy, or you're doing whatever it is you're going to be doing, you've really fortified yourself with this beautiful energy, and now you can share a different modality. But you have to keep those two separate when you're with animals, because what you bring into it is confusion with the animal. So in Reiki, we get tools. If you're level 1, you have the tools of, maybe you have the precepts. Level 1, you have meditations. In human Reiki, level 1, you're going to have hand positions, right? So if you're trying to use hand positions with an animal, you've already put yourself a distance away from the animal, because now you're focusing on, oh, I need to heal you. I need to fix you. I'm going to do that with my hands. And the animals are like, wait a minute, no, that's not okay. I don't like that. I don't even know you. Now, with animals that know you, with your own animals, I think Kirsten, you wrote in and said, you work with your horses, they like hands. Totally fine. Use hands. That's what they're used to. That's what they want. Fine. But with strange animals, we never want to be using hands. Hands can be weapons. So for an animal that's been abused, hands can seem really scary. So we don't want to use that kind of tool with an animal. We don't want to use hands-on with an animal if we're looking at it as a tool, right? We want to use hands-on for ourselves. When we get into level 2, we're learning the symbols and mantras, right? So you have the Chokurei symbol, you have Seiheki, and you have Honshaze Shonen. If you're putting symbols on an animal, symbols above an animal, what are you doing? You're coming into their space, you're invading their space with your presence and with this need to fix, right? Why are you giving them these symbols? Because you're trying to fix something that's wrong. We're back in that ego space of, oh, I need to fix what's happening to this animal. No, you don't. You don't need to fix it. you need to hold space for that animal, holding space for that animal so that then they can be on a healing journey for themselves. Because here's the thing, people, we are not healers in that sense. We empower. So when I go to, let's say, Adam, I go to Adam. Adam's a Reiki practitioner. I go in and Adam's doing fluorescence, he's doing crystals, he's talking to me, he's telling me where I might be blocked, all of these things, right? He's using all of his tools. I welcome that. If I'm an animal and Adam does that, I'm like, wait, what? Wait, I'm not broken. What are you doing? Why are you putting these things on me? Why are you? There's confusion. And sometimes there can be anxiety and there can be fear. With humans, when we give them all these things, what are you doing? You're empowering people on their healing journey. So it's like if I'm with Adam and he's doing all these things and I know that it's working, I feel empowered to heal. With animals, it's the exact opposite. We have to sit with them in a pure space of just love, and that empowers them. It's not our tools that empower the animals. Time and time again, this has been proven. Don't forget, Kathleen did human Reiki with animals from 1998 until 2006 before she learned the more meditative way. And she had mixed results. Sometimes it would be great. Sometimes the animals would be fine with symbols on them, with hands on them. So I'm not saying this doesn't work. Remember, we're all on a journey and we're all starting at one place. But as you evolve on your journey, pay attention to how the animals are reacting to you. Pay attention to maybe when they step a little bit back. Horses, especially. A horse steps back, you need to step back. Horses are about mirroring. Just step back. It doesn't mean they don't want you in their space. It doesn't mean that they don't want you there with whatever you're trying to share with them. It means that, hey, wait a second, I need a moment. Step back. This is not good. Other animals will do that. You know, tigers, they'll walk away from you. I'm not going to step back. They're just going to go, yeah, no, not interested. Monkeys will get back, or they'll screech at you if they don't like it. You know, cats can go into a kind of a fake sleep because they're shutting down. And that just reminds me, I want to share what Sue Ireland wrote about this very thing. She said, I have had concerns for a while seeing people thinking they're offering healing and then interpreting a horse's response according to their perspective, whereas what is actually happening is they themselves are causing the animals to react, move away, or go internal, mistaking shutdown for relaxation. And she says, although I also have to be careful, and I love this part, I also have to be careful that this is not just merely my perspective. I like horses to be comfortable with touch because I need to touch to care for them. But I also like to observe my horses to see how they are moving and interacting with stillness while still focusing on them. As this can come across as creepy, they don't necessarily know what my intention is or anyone else's, but especially if they don't know us. But no matter what loving thoughts we think we are projecting, and this is what's really powerful, no matter what loving thoughts we think we are projecting, animals may misunderstand our intention, as well as how we feel we are being. Horses also like to know what we are doing, minding our business, doing what we're doing, i.e. our practice, while gently aware of them seems far less invasive and inviting. So basically what Sue is saying here is like, we have to be very mindful when we're with animals. We have to be paying attention. And the more you're with animals, the more you're practicing this very passive, let animals lead way of just meditating, right? And using the symbols and mantras for yourself. So Choku-rei is grounding. I'm bringing grounding to my body when I'm either saying Choku-rei or I'm drawing the symbol, which I love drawing the symbol on my leg. It's not for the animals. It's for me so that I can then be more grounded in this space. And when I'm grounded, guess what? I'm more expansive. And when I'm more expansive, I let go of all of my worries. And when I'm more expansive and I'm more grounded, the connection is effortless because now in this space, all I feel is love and gratitude for being with the animal. The tools, the symbols and mantras or whatever I'm using, those are for me. But if I'm like, oh, this dog is anxious, I'm going to put a symbol on him. Well, what do you think that's going to do? Especially a dog in a shelter. I'm like then drawing something, or I'm intentionally with my mind putting it on them. Remember, animals are hypersensitive to energy. So when I say, oh, I'm going to put this symbol on them, they feel that, right? Our thoughts are deep deep energy and they feel that. So we have to be really careful. What are we doing when we're using tools with animals? Our tools with the Reiki, the symbols and mantras, and I'm not talking about flower essence or anything like that. But I will talk a minute about flower essences. When I first started doing animal Reiki, start learning it and practicing it, right? I would they have like a shelter blend of flower essences. I would put it on my hands because I didn't trust that what I was being was enough. I didn't trust that just being there and sharing love was powerful enough. So when I was first starting, I used flower essences on my hands. Now I knew not to use it on the animal, but I was insecure, or I would really like try hard to use the tools even for myself, but kind of hoping that in using them for myself, it was also going to help the animal in some way, right? It's a journey, you guys. Wherever you are on this journey, do not judge yourself for how you're doing this, because we've all been there. It's a growth of our practice. And in the growth of our practice, the more you practice, the more you sit with animals, the more you go to a shelter, the more you work with shut down animals, you start to learn, that's a sign that an animal is shutting down, not that an animal is relaxing. An animal hanging its head like a horse in a corner does not necessarily mean that horse is relaxing, although they will hang their head in relaxation. But if there's no yawning, no relax signs in their body, they are not relaxing, they're shutting down. Same with dogs, same with cats. If a dog curls up in a corner and is like this, and there's no visible signs of relaxation, which is yawning or stretching or just like being more relaxed in their body, you know that what you're sharing or trying to share is not being accepted. They're actually trying to shut down from it. And in a shelter, they can't go anywhere. Now, in a pasture, a horse can move around. In a stall, a horse can't. Or if you're with farm animals and they're in stalls, they can't move around. So you always want to make sure that you're paying attention. Am I creating something that is causing stress for these animals? Or is what I'm creating bringing peace and calm? So again, like with Kirsten, when she said, her horses love touch. So if she's sitting there and she's holding space and she's just relaxing and they come up to her and they're like, we'd love touch, and great. They're showing her, we don't mind what you're doing. We want more. We want you to touch us, because guess what? When we do touch our animals and we're in that beautiful space, they feel that too. It's just that comforting touch, right? Humans like comforting touch. Animals, we know, like comforting touch. Even the tigers at care who know us, right? They will rub up against the fence because, for those of us who volunteer there, we can then scratch them, right? They like that physical feeling. So even in a Reiki, like when we're sitting there being Reiki with them, they might come up to the fence and go back and forth at first because they want that touch. But when they're deep in that space, they go out, right? They're out, and they're out. They're just hanging. Sometimes they're up on a perch and their legs and arms are just hanging off, or they're in front of you and they're completely passed out. Those are signs. Also, when tigers, when they come close, they have a huge play area. So when they come close to either their enclosure or into the big play area and they come close to the fence so that they can be by you, you know that they're accepting it. But they're not accepting it because we're like, oh, I'm using all these great tools and because of these tools, I'm stronger. No, they're reacting to your calm, loving energy. So our tools are great to keep us in the space, right? So if my mind starts to wander, I'm going to draw a choker ray on my leg. If my mind, I'm feeling anxious, right? I might just either draw the Seiheki symbol, or I might say Seiheki, Seiheki, Seiheki 3 times, or I might just say it in my head. Or if you learn the Let Animals Lead method, and some of you might know this outside the Let Animals Lead method, you can chant Eiki in your head. And then with Honshaze Shonen, you can draw that, but Honshaze Shonen is a kanji. So saying Honshaze Shonen is actually powerful. And I'm not going to say more powerful, because Nicholas, when I took his first class, he said, it is more powerful, but his second class on symbols and mantras, he didn't emphasize that as much. So I need to double check with him. But It is a kanji. And what he will say is kanji is spoken word, right? Honshaze shonen. There's power in the words. There's power. There's kotodama, which means power in your words when you say honshaze shonen. So don't worry if you're doing, if you're a level 2 practitioner and you're into the symbols, but you're like, symbol 3 is just so hard. Just honshaze shonen to yourself. You can chant it if you know the chant, or you can just quietly just and just bring yourself back into that space for yourself. You're not doing it for the animal. If you're trying to do acupressure, acupuncture, and you're also trying to do, like, we talked last week about sessions, but let's say, you're there to help an animal. So it is in your mind a session. The Reiki is for yourself, to bring calmness into your body, so that then when you're doing acupuncture, acupressure, anything else with the animal, you're bringing a peace with you. So there was a horse at Pregnant Mare Rescue, and he was really old, Elvis, and he got adopted out to a family. And unfortunately, the family had him alone. He was the only horse. He was very old at that time. I think he was 27 or 28. And they put a blanket on him. And sometimes you put blankets on horse during the winter, but they kept the blanket on him all through the winter and into the spring. So the blanket was getting wet. It was rotting. It was a horrible situation. And he was only given like the grass to eat. He wasn't given extra hay. So literally in these short few months, he lost so much weight. And so they had to go in, grab him, and take him out. And when they took him out, they took him to a boarding facility that one of the board members had, and they brought him in. And I was there when they unloaded him, and it was really just a stressful situation. But another woman that was one of my students, she did acupressure, and so she started to work on him. But before he even got there, we together, there was 3 of us, we just started to do our Reiki practice, doing the breathing, holding space, just getting that space deep within us, so that when he was unloaded, when we saw him, it wasn't like, oh my God. It was, okay, we're here. And we created this beautiful space around her and him, and just sitting there, just holding space, just telling Elvis how much we loved him, how happy we were that he was back with us. And Shelby went and did the practice, the acupressure, and you could see him relaxing. Now, because he was so weak, and because he was so old, we had to be really careful, because older horses will start to like go to sleep. And if they go down, it's almost impossible to get them back up. So we had to be really careful. We had to, clap in his eye. Okay, you're getting too relaxed. You got to come back. But he loved it. And after he came in, I'm talking all of myself. He came in kind of stumbling, but at the end of his acupressure session and just holding space and feeling all the love, he was able to walk more stably to his new stall. And he flourished there. Oh my God, I'm so happy to report he got so many Reiki exchange, sessions. I'm going to call them sessions, even though last week I said, no, sessions, just being with him. But that's what we were. We weren't trying to fix Elvis. And it's scary, right? He's old. And we're like, oh, Elvis, we just want you to be better. We want to fix you. But that isn't what we're trained to do. We're trained to just be with him. So I would just go in with him and just say, hey, I would love to meditate with you. And he loved the sessions. And I had to be really careful, because, I'm in there alone with Elvis, and he starts to get so relaxed. I have to clap. Okay. See, I have to bring myself out of it too, right? Because I'm telling you, sometimes when you're with an older animal, you might feel even more relaxed and even deeper, because you're in an energy exchange, right? You're not just offering, there is an energy exchange. So you're starting to feel how they're feeling. You're like, oh, I feel really relaxed and tired. And it's like, oh no, wait, no, we can't get that tired. You got to come back. So you just want to be really mindful, right? When you go in there. But again, the tools aren't for them. They're for us. So we had to settle ourselves down. We had to bring that grounding of Chokurei. And in fact, I think we were even chanting Chokurei before he got there, just to bring that grounding in our body. Chanting, just saying Chokurei out loud, that vibration in your body is like a sound vibration, right? Like sound therapy. So bring that into your body. Use the tools for you, but never for the animals. Because what you're doing, the minute you start to use them for the animals, and I'm talking the Reiki tools, and even the other tools, if you're there to share Reiki, if you're there to share the space, have this beautiful just exchange of energy with this animal, don't mess it up by trying to bring something else in. Now, at the end of that, like, set your intent. I'm going to sit with whoever, like, let's say Elvis. I'm going to sit with Elvis for 20 minutes and just share this beautiful space. And at the end, then I'm going to see if he wants to communicate. And we had students that did that with Elvis, and Elvis was so happy. Oh my gosh. There were so many female horses at that boarding facility, and he had like a little window on the side of his stall, and they would literally come up and flirt with Elvis all the time. So he flourished not only from the Reiki, but from all of this beautiful energy. But that was such a beautiful lesson for us. What do animals really need to flourish? They need love. They need acceptance. They don't need to be fixed. They are so much wiser, stronger, and more evolved than we are. For us, it's hard for us to heal ourselves, right? If I want to heal something, I've got to go to Adam. He's got to do all these things on me. And then even when I leave, I think, oh my gosh, do I need crystals? And I'm calling Adam. Oh my gosh, Adam, what do I need to do to continue this beautiful healing, right? But animals aren't like that. You do this beautiful session with them. Sometimes they can do a 360 and boom, everything is fine. Sometimes it takes a little longer. I mean, 4 is what we always recommend, just 4 beautiful, loving sessions where you're just sitting with the animal, exchanging energy. And then from there, see what happens. I mean, I saw it in the shelter all the time. 4 sessions, boom, an animal's adopted. Animal that's been there for so long, boom, they're adopted by a great family. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm not trying to go, oh my gosh, I really hope you can get adopted. Oh my gosh, I hope this happens for you. No, it's just, I see you. I'm here for you, right? You are safe. You are loved. All is well. You are safe. You are loved. All is well. And when we do that mantra out loud, you guys, that's a beautiful tool. Use that tool all the time with animals. That is a beautiful tool, because guess what happens? When you say that, not only are they hearing this, yes, you are safe. You are loved. All is well. But you're reminding yourself, they are safe. They are loved. All is well. I am safe. I am loved. All is well. That is such a powerful tool. If you want an instant connection with animals, and I am going to say this over and over and over again, people, because it works, say that mantra, be that mantra, use that tool with animals, because that is really the only tool you need. Because that tool, what does it do? It helps you. It helps your mindset. It reminds them they are safe. They're in a shelter. They are loved. They are deeply loved. You are there because you love them. And all is well. In this moment, all is well. No matter what is happening 5 minutes from now, in this very moment, that is the truth. All is well. And why is it well? Because you are there. You are there sharing this beautiful energy. So I want to get to the chat really fast. So Ruth said yesterday she attended a fireside chat with Dr. Feinstein of Holistic Actions, who is a dear friend of ours, to celebrate his new book coming out in February. 2 guests were Alini, I'm going to butcher her name, so I won't say that, and Christine Noble Sellers. They were asked what they say when working with animals. And Alini has a mantra that really resonated with me. She states the animal's name and then says, I see you, thank you, I love you, right? That's almost the same type of the all is well version. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Ruth, for sharing that. That could be really powerful. I see you. Every being in this world, most especially humans, wants to be seen, heard, and appreciated. Remember that. Every single person wants to be seen, heard, and appreciated. Animals want to be seen, heard, and appreciated. This says it all. I see you. I thank you. I love you. How powerful is that? How beautiful is that? And I'm going to have to make sure that we give Alini credit for that. I will repeat that in the recap email. But that is so. Oh, and Gilly was on that call as well. Oh, and she knows Alini and Christine well too. So that is so powerful, and it also reminds me of the Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. Right? Adam's nodding his head. That's really powerful. That is such a powerful thing. And I'm going to do, oh my gosh, you guys, because it reminds me of something. So, we have all these tools. Again, there's another tool, the Ho'oponopono. Tapping is another tool, right? I don't necessarily believe in tapping on animals because, again, I think it's kind of like the Reiki thing where we're doing something to an animal, but tapping for ourselves, right? So going through all those tapping points. But I want to tell you something really exciting. I'm going to veer off just for a second. I talked to you guys about manifestation. Scarlett has come and talked about manifestation. I couldn't get the one guy on Instagram to come talk to us about manifestation, but you guys, something so freaking phenomenal happened. I manifested something and it was like so powerful. And it wasn't money. It wasn't any of those other things because I've already manifested those things. I manifested my amazing apartment. I manifested a perfect job. I don't have to, I work from home. Everybody was saying, you're going to have to go in. Everybody's returning back to work. You're going to have to go in. You're going to have to go in. I don't have to go in. I can live in Portland, Oregon. I don't have to live in Silicon Valley. I, get paid what I manifested. I wanted to get paid. And I thought at the time I was manifesting, I'm like, you're never going to get paid this, but I got it. But what I manifested didn't even have as much to do with me. It had to do with someone else. So I will save it for our talk, but I'm so excited to share this because you guys, it is so freaking simple. It kind of reminds me of Ho'oponopono, but it has to do with another person. And, in my mind, I was thinking, well, I can't manifest someone to change because everybody has free will, right? But energy, right? The energy I was putting out to that person affects that person. And this was a contentious interaction that we always had. And on Monday, I got this call and I was like, oh my God, what? Everything changed, like everything. And even the day before that, I said to the universe, I want proof that this manifestation is working, that my I need proof, universe. You need to give me a sign that is so clear that I will not mistake it for something else, that I want something to come here, right? And that was Sunday. And it didn't happen on Sunday. And I was like, okay, great. I guess I'm not manifesting then because the universe didn't give me a sign. And literally when I was saying that to myself, literally the word patience popped into my head. And I'm not psychic and I told you, I'm not a communicator and I'm so blocked when it comes up here. Say hey key for years was like, oh my gosh, I had such a problem with it, you guys. I would get headaches with say hey key. I had so much blockage with say hey key. So I got this thing, be patient. And I am here to tell you, I like get chills even talking about it. I get this phone call and I'm just like, no way. There's just no way. I couldn't even believe it. It was so powerful. So we will talk about this because guess what? A lot of what we teach in the Let Animals Lead Way, a lot of what you've heard on these calls, it's all comes back to manifesting. And we have the power to manifest something better for animals with our thoughts, with our energy. We can create miracles with our energy, but we can't create the miracles if we're saying to ourselves, well, I have to have this, or I need this, and I need to do this to the animal, and I need to fix this, and I need to change this. No, the manifestation comes from pulling back and just sending love and believing that love is possible. Now, it's hard for us, right? Because we're raised from such a tiny little age. Oh, that's not possible. It's always no, yeah. I just remember, and being a woman too. Oh, well, women don't do that. Oh, well, girls aren't strong enough to do that. Oh, well, you may not, you're not, oh, you don't have the same opportunities that person had. You don't look like that person, or whatever that is. The things that we are raised around, all of these negative inputs that we receive, especially from birth to age 12, those all become a part of us. So then as we get older, we're trying to sit in this space of love with an animal, right? We think, I need something. I need a tool. I need a tool. I need to make this more powerful. I'm not powerful enough on my own. And that is such a lie. You are so powerful on your own. Your heart is the most powerful organ in your body. And not only is it pumping life into your body, but it is pumping energy out. When we feel love, where do we feel it? We feel it deeply in our heart, but we also feel it up here, right? Okay, remember, you guys, Kokoro, there is no separation of mind and heart in Japanese. We have perfect balance. We have wisdom and compassion. So when we're feeling deep love, guess what? We're bringing these energy centers together in a perfect balance of wisdom and compassion. And in that space of wisdom and compassion, we know that we are enough, that our love, our energy is enough. And not only is it enough to hold space for whatever animal we're with, it's enough to hold space beyond that. So don't forget, if you're sitting with an animal, there are other beings around you. There are insects, there is nature. There are other things around you that are connecting and amplifying, but you can't connect in that space if you're worried, oh my gosh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to bring this in, I got to bring that in. Now with people, it's totally different. So don't confuse the two. Don't confuse the animal part, because that is why we always say this method of animal Reiki is its own modality. It's its own system. It is not human Reiki. Yes, we have some components, but those components are for us. You know, when I just went to Nama's stables out in Langley, British Columbia, and she has a beautiful little property. And there were the baby cows that we've talked about that were really shy, but there was also a oh my gosh, was he a llama? What's the other one that's like a llama? Well, I'll call him a llama. And he was very shy. And Jackie, the owner of Nama Stable, said that, you know, he doesn't get involved in things. He's very standoffish. He's only comfortable around people he knows. And of course, obviously he didn't know us. But what was really cool about that, the whole class, as we were going through the class and learning all these different tools for ourselves, he was so curious. He was coming up to the front. He wasn't engaging like he does with friends. He was engaging with curiosity, and he was relaxing in his little, like, so they each have, like, you know, their enclosure and a shed, you know, kind of open shed behind, or an open kind of whatever behind. And he was standing there and he would relax and he would get really comfortable. That was a clear sign he was accepting, right? Other horses were coming to the fence, wanting to nuzzle, doing those things, right, that you expect. But what I want to share with you is, when we're with these animals and we're not getting the reactions that we think we should, and so we think, oh God, I got to use a tool, I got to do this. Remember, they're going to take it however they want, however they feel comfortable. So this little llama, he wasn't going to act like the horses or the pigs or even the cows when they got, you know, really comfortable with us and wanted to be around us all the time. He was more standoffish. He wanted it how he wanted it. Didn't mean he wasn't sharing in that space. He wasn't connecting. It meant that he was doing it the way it worked for him. Now, had we judged that, we could say, oh, well, you know, he doesn't really like us being here. Oh, look, he's standing back away from the fence. The horses are all coming forward. That means that he doesn't like it. No, that's when our ego gets involved. And you just have to tell your ego, that's not true. That's not true. There's no truth behind that. We have to meet animals where they are, just like we meet people where they are. You have to meet animals where they are. There were the little bunnies in the stable. They never came out. They were very shy, and then came out. And Jackie was like, oh my gosh, the bunnies are out. They're never out. They were taking it how. Now, were they relaxing? Were they out completely doing the bunny flop? I love the bunny flops. If you've ever shared space with bunnies, what they do and they get really relaxed is they're sitting upright and then they go boom, and they just almost look like they're dying. They just go boom, like they've been shot, and they just go flat out. It's so funny. So doing that, you know, I've seen bunnies do that. And if in my head I would have thought, oh, well, they're not doing the bunny flop, so they're probably not taking a lot. They're probably just curious because we're here. No, you have to meet animals where they are. But if your head is all like, oh, I need this tool, oh, I got to do, you're missing out on what's happening around you. And you can't truly connect in that space. So I want to open it up to all of you, because we do want to leave a couple minutes to do just a moment of silence and just sharing love for Jane Goodall and all that she has shared with us. So I just want to. And then Kristen said, I usually, after observing horse and saying hi, before I even share Reiki, I would stay still in the neighborhood of the horse. And I will ask the horse if I can give him Reiki. If I get a no, I give space. But so far, in almost all cases, they want Reiki. Then I start with distant Reiki and I wait for the horse to come to me and show me if I want hands. Yeah, and that's, that's totally fine because, okay, so I want to clarify something for you guys. So Kirsten is saying, I asked him if I can give him Reiki. That's totally fine. Her intent is, I'm going to be giving Reiki. That is her intent. Okay. What I shared last week, don't be going, oh my God, but you said last week, it's okay. Remember, it's okay. If her horses are responding to her when she says that, that's okay. That is okay. Now, if Kirsten gets a horse is like, no, and turns like, I'm going to kick you, then I'm going to say, yeah, Kirsten, maybe next time we're just going to say, hey, would you like to meditate with me? Right. And you're laughing because it's true. You got to do what works, you guys. Don't judge yourself. Don't say, oh my gosh, I got to change everything now. Leah said this isn't right. Well, I'm not the be all end all on this. I'm sharing my opinion in my experience because I've been doing this for 17, going on 18 years. And I know what works, right? And I've studied with Kathleen for years and years. And I was so lucky to be mentored by her for years and years and years. And so we know what works and what doesn't work. But at the same time, just be open to other possibilities. Do what you do, but be open to something better. If you're getting a no, a very clear no, then go, you know what? I'm going to change my approach. Just going to go inward. Just going to focus on myself. I'm going to maybe listen to a meditation. I'm just going to do something different and then see if that works. But what I'm sharing and what I share on all these calls is just experience. Okay. Because you never want anyone to be your guru, people. Don't ever make anyone your guru. I don't have gurus. I have teachers that I'm very grateful for. But just remember, I'm not perfect. None of my teachers are perfect, right? They're all human. So we always want to make sure we take what resonates with us and then forget the rest and come back to it if you can. Because I'm telling you, your teachers are flawed. I'm flawed. All of my teachers are flawed. Every single one of them, except for maybe Yakutin Inamoto. Oh my gosh, I love that man so much. I don't know if he's flawed, but I'm sure he is in some respect. But you can't idolize people or take what people say as gospel. You have to try it for yourself because remember, you're an individual. You're someone who is learning. Kathleen was someone who was learning human Reiki, and then she just started to experiment. And she started to get, you might experiment with something and find something even cooler, something that connects even deeper with animals than what we're sharing right here, right? So you've got to be open to what's being presented to you and not take everything as gospel, but again, tune in to how you're feeling and what you're seeing, because that's going to be your biggest information on, oh, wow, this is what I should be doing. This is what I shouldn't be doing with an animal. And just always remember with shut down, injured, abused animals, always start very, very passive. We never want to make them feel more fear because we're coming to them in a loving space. So then, but thank you for sharing that because I like your process, Kirsten. You go in. So I want to walk through this because before you even go to do the Reiki, you ask the horse and you ask them. And whether or not you're an animal communicator, and this is a really important thing to know and remember, you always want to ask the animal. You're not going to hear something in your head. That's okay. But they will show you. And if they don't show you anything, just get a little closer, see how it is, but never get too close, especially to an animal you don't know. And with a horse, you never want to be within kicking distance because you don't want to get kicked or bit. But asking permission is huge. And then if you get a no, you give space. But so far, they all want Reiki because, again, you're going in there with a really good intention, with a really good energy. And that says a lot. And remember, Kathleen, she wrote a book about this using this very same technique. A book that's very popular, that was very successful, that helped people on their animal Reiki journey. So what I'm sharing with you is kind of just more like as you evolve, just kind of look at these things. And then you start with distant. Yeah. Because you know what? Distant Reiki is, I'm going to pick on Adam today. I could be sitting with Adam, we're across from each other. That's still distant. We still have distance, right? So you always have distance. So distant using Honsha Shonen, that's a great way. Open up your heart. And then you wait for the horse to come to you. And then they show you. Oh my gosh, I have the funniest story. This was back I know when I was first learning, we were using more hands on horses if they asked for it, right? Kathleen did a whole class on it and everything. She doesn't anymore, but so I was showing my student, she had a horse. It was a really beautiful paint, black and white, named Oreo. And I love this so much. So Oreo is in his pasture. We go up and I say, hey, Oreo, Lorraine would like to know how to use hands when she's doing Reiki. Could we use you? And he's just like, yeah, and he comes to the fence, whatever. So I'm telling her, let's start on their neck. You could put a hand on their chest and you kind of go down. And she goes, okay. And as soon as she put her hands, like she was following, he started to shake my hands off. So like horses, they'll move their skin when they want you off like a fly. And at first I didn't notice. I was like, oh, he's just flicking away a fly. But then he was like, more like, and so I moved my hands off and he stopped flicking. I'm like, oh, he wanted me just to talk her and have her do it. She got to his butt and I said, sometimes they'll turn around, and he turns around. She does the other side. And then as soon as she got to his butt on the other side, he whinnied and ran off. It was the funniest thing. Animals know way more than we do, you guys. They know our intention. They sense our intention. So just be aware of that. When you ask permission, when you say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, they're listening. One time, we were at Remus in Essex, England, and we were in a barn with like 18 or 20 students. And Thomas, this big draft horse, was in the barn. And Kathleen said, you would never want to crowd a horse and share Reiki like that. That just would be really intimidating and not good. And what Thomas looked at her and just turned around, went in between the students so that he was like in with students on each side of him. And he just looked at her like, I'll be the judge of that. We're going to let them learn Reiki with equines. So just be sure to pay attention when you're talking about animals, talking with them, because they're listening and they do know more than you do. And they want their own choice. Here we are saying, well, animals have agency, animals have choice. And then we're trying to say, oh, no, you can't do that with them. And they're like, I'll be the judge, right, Kirsten? So I'm like telling you, oh, you shouldn't use hands. But the horses are saying, don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. We want hands. So yes, I wanted to share that with all of you. And then Cherie says that mantra is actually what I used with an injured bird last week. And while I wasn't attached to any income, and she means that you are safe, you are loved, all as well, I was overwhelmed had it all transparent. Oh, she was overwhelmed by the fact that it had all transpired and worked out. So, okay, wait, let me make sure I read that again. That mantra is actually what I used with an injured bird last week. And while I wasn't attached to any outcome, I was overwhelmed by it all and it transpired. And by not had it all transpired and worked out. I see. Yes. But again, that mantra is very, very powerful. So we have like 5 minutes. I know I've talked and I always say, I'm going to open it up to you, and then I don't. So if you have anything to say or ask, just unmute yourself. We can go like 5 minutes over if we have to, because I do definitely want to do a dedication to Jane Goodall. So I can't see everybody. You can unmute. You can just, and Anne and Amy, welcome. I don't think I let people in. Hey, that's Karen. I let people in, and Renee too. Enjoy. I let people in and then I don't see. So welcome everyone. So no one wants to go on and ask.
I'll say something really quick about the bunny, just because you brought that up.
Yes.
Because this is really funny. So we live where there's a lot of wildlife, and we have wild bunnies. And the longest time, my husband and I go out every night at the same time, and I put lettuce out, and I try to put it closer and closer, and they stay in their own little place. And though over the last month, we've noticed that they've been coming really close, like they're within like 3 inches of us. And the difference is when we were going out before, we were quiet. So we were putting the lettuce out and we would be very quiet and we were watching them. We've stopped, we got bored, right? So we put out the lettuce, now we're chatting, we're doing our thing. When we're chatting and we're engaged, they come really, really close because they're watching all the time. If we're engaged, we're not bothering them. We're part of their community. So, and I see that as Reiki space too, that's
Yes.
in a non-invasive space. I just wanted to share that.
No, that's so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that's exactly it, right? When you're putting the lettuce out and then you're quiet and you're like waiting, you're waiting for something to happen. But the minute you let go is the minute then they're like, oh, they don't mean us harm. the same thing happens with my crows too. It's like they wait until, because I'm watching, they wait until I get about 10 feet away and then they'll go eat. But yeah, and you see that in the shelter. I remember just like you are sitting there sharing space and then someone comes in and you start talking. And even though the animal might be really relaxed, as soon as your attention is on something else, then they go boom and really relax. Because now, even though we don't think we're, locked in, we are locked in on some level. So thank you so much for sharing that, Shri. Yeah, Kristen, please.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, what you just told about the meditation, I did yesterday a guided meditation with an incredible huge horse where I really had respect from. And so the voice on the guided meditation at one point said, and now focus and relax your shoulders. So the horse is coming closer and closer to me, putting his head on my shoulder. I thought,
Oh,
is that horse listening in? And then they said something, and now concentrate on your leg or on your knee. The horse lifted the knee. And then it said something, embrace yourself. The horse put the whole face on my heart. I mean,
oh
it
my
was
God.
just incredible. So meditating with horses is great, and it works really well.
Yes, yes, because, and again, this is so powerful because we think that maybe they don't understand us, right? When we're talking to them, you're asking permission or you're telling them what's happening. They do understand.
Yeah, every word. Yeah,
Yeah. And here you're not even talking, it's your meditation, and they're still getting that, right? Because
yeah,
again, we don't, I mean, whether they're hearing the meditation or not, in your mind, you're processing that. You're like, and your attention goes to your knee or to your shoulders relaxing or whatever that is. The horse immediately comes in. But again, the animal understands you're there to relax. You're meditating, you're relaxing. And so what do? They come and support that. Again, it's this. It's not one way. I'm sharing energy. It's this. And what
yes,
a beautiful gift for us, for them, for everyone, because for them, it's good too, right? I mean, it's like they love that feeling of being connected to us. They're here for us. So if we can really be open to that, it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for sharing that. This is why, everyone, I know maybe some people don't want to talk, but this is why it's really important to share on these calls because it opens up so much more than what I on my own might bring. And we're all learning. We're all learning together. We're all growing together. None of us are perfect. None of us know everything, right? We'll never know everything. We'll never know how horses or animals or any of these beings process the information that's being shared to them or how they see it or how anything, because we really can't. I mean, we can kind of guess, but that's about it. So I would really love for us to do just a few minutes of quiet meditation for Jane Goodall and just sit in that beautiful space of love and gratitude for all that she has brought to this world and really see her as a beacon whose energy is going to live on and on and on because she lives on through all of us who are here with our love of animals and our desire to help support animals. We have a part of her in us as well. So let's get nice and centered. Make sure your body is nice and centered. And if you can bring your hands into Gasho at your heart, what are we doing? We're bringing our attention to our heart. We're bringing calm into our body just with this very simple movement. And Gasho means just bringing the left and right together in perfect balance at your heart. And we'll take some deep breaths in here, breathing in deeply through our nose, pulling our breath deep into our belly, and then slowly releasing our breath out our mouth. Making sure your out breath is a little bit longer than your in breath. Do a couple more of those breaths. And on the out breath, feel all tension and stress leaving your body with your breath. And again, breathing in deeply and breathing out. And now, whenever you're ready, bring your hands face up or face down in your lap. And we're just focused on our breath for a moment. Just focus on the feeling of the air coming in and out of your nose. Just a nice, gentle breath. And now, I'd like you to bring to mind Jane Goodall. And just visualize yourself either hugging her or sitting across from her and sending love, and maybe shaking her hand. Maybe see yourself telling her how grateful you are for all the amazing work that she's done. And maybe you share how she's affected your life and how much joy she's brought to you. Just allow yourself to feel immense gratitude for Dr. Goodall, immense respect and love for all the change and awareness she has brought about. If an animal comes to your mind as you're thinking of Jane, invite the animal into this space. Invite them to share love and gratitude with Jane. Through her work, she has affected millions of people, millions of animals. And we are so grateful to Dr. Goodall for all her work, for everything she brought to this world. And we are so eternally grateful for her legacy that will live on, for all the people she has trained and supported, so that her mission and her goal to help animals who need us the most are still protected and supported. Whenever you're ready, bring your hands to Gasho at your heart and just say thank you in your mind to Dr. Goodall. Say thank you to any animals who joined you. And give thanks to yourself for being here and for all you do to support the animals in your life, whether it's through action or thought or your energy. You are making a difference in this world. And whenever you're ready, you can bring your hands down. Thank you all so much for today. And I think maybe next week I will share about the manifestation, because I want to empower all of you to realize that we can make some really huge change. I'm going to start manifesting with an animal I know, and I'll try and report back. Hopefully something will happen, but I am so seriously excited to share this with you because it's so simple. It's so easy. I've taken so many classes on manifestation, because who doesn't want to manifest something better? But this is super powerful. So thank you all so much for joining me today. Thank you. I hope that you all enjoyed it. Remember, you are more powerful than you believe. You don't need lots of tools to help the animals. You just need your beautiful open heart. So thank you all so much. I will see you next week. And next week we will talk about manifestation. And it's going to be cool, you guys, and easy. Thank you. Bye, everyone.